Before we begin, I noticed that someone left a set of Ford car keys on a carabiner, so if these are anyone's keys, they're up here at the pulpit. So I've confirmed that we have more than 41 people present in the room, so we do have a quorum, which is great.
And some nice music.
So good morning. My name is Adam Hamill, and I am honored to serve as the moderator of the congregation. Welcome to North Parish's annual meeting. While it may seem as though we're just addressing mundane matters of business today, like electing officers and approving a budget, we are actually engaging in the exercise of self-governance through the democratic process, something that has been a hallmark of this congregation for centuries. This is particularly meaningful this year as we celebrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, a document that was read from the pulpit of this congregation and congregations across Massachusetts in July 1776 by order of Governor John Hancock. So in that spirit, thank you for joining with me today as we exercise our liberty and independence. Before I formally call the meeting to order, I'd like to go over a few matters of procedure to assist those of you who may be attending your first annual meeting, and as a reminder for those of you who have been to many congregational meetings over the years. For those of you who are joining us this morning by Zoom, welcome. We are glad to have you here with us as observers today for the meeting, but due to logistical challenges that it would present, the Board of Trustees has decided that only those present in the room will be able to speak on warrant items or to cast votes. For those of you physically present in the sanctuary, participation is welcome and encouraged. If you do wish to speak, please wait until you are recognized by the moderator before speaking. You can alert me that you wish to be recognized by raising your hand, standing, or coming toward the microphone. It is important that everyone who participates in the meeting be able to hear what you have to say. So no matter how booming you think your voice is, please use the microphone at all times when you are speaking so that everyone has an opportunity to hear you. I would also like to remind everyone that we at North Parish have committed ourselves to a covenant of right relations, a statement of promises to one another about how we want to be in community together. I encourage everyone who addresses the meeting today to embody that covenant, to use I statements when expressing opinions, and to be respectful of the dignity and unique perspective of everyone in the room. If you are a friend of North Parish but not a member, we are glad you are here. We welcome you to observe today's proceedings. However, according to our bylaws, only members of the congregation may vote at annual meeting. So with that, I call this annual meeting of North Parish of North Andover to order with a quorum of at least 41 members present. Before we consider any business today, I would like to invite our senior minister, the Reverend Lee Blumel, forward to light the chalice and make some opening remarks.
As is our habit and tradition, I'd like to light our chalice as we begin our annual meeting in memory of those members of the congregation who passed away in the last year. They are Rich Coleman, who died on June 30th, 2025, and a former member of the congregation, Cindy Cook, who died on June 22nd, 2025. May their memory be a blessing. We are grateful for their lives.
Thank you, Reverend Lee. The first order of business is Article 1, Receiving of Reports. And it's printed in the warrant. It says as follows: to receive and place on file the reports of church officers, committees, church organizations, the senior minister, director of family religious education, music director, assistant music director, congregational administrator, membership and communications coordinator, director of community engagement operations, the parish council, and the board of trustees. Do I hear a motion on Article 1?
Article 1 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? Article 1 is moved and seconded as printed in the warrant. At this time, I would like to invite the Reverend Lee Blumel forward to make some remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, Adam. I'd just like to, I would just like to briefly say a few thank yous from my report. I would like to give a shout out to the 4 Justice Pillar groups who've done so much work this year, and congratulations to Jackie Warren Nathan, who was this year's MICA Ministry Community in Action awardee. I'd like to thank our security team that's done an awful lot of work, Pat Grimm, Mary Kilpatrick, and Rebecca Driscoll. I'd like to thank our Green Envelope Building Project folks, Carol Carbonell, Stephanie Harrington, John Lenhoff, Gary Martin, Kirk Olson, Deb Putnam, Bob Watts, and Keith Wenzel. I'd like to thank our Red Bow Fair chair, trying it for the first time, Tim Daniel. Thank you, Tim. Yes? I would like to especially thank those who are rotating off the board after 3-year terms, who have signed up to be part of the leadership of the congregation. Those are trustees Rick Briscoe, who was our finance liaison, Marcia Cordia, who's been the co-chair and stewardship liaison, and Kara Forcino, our secretary and nominating committee liaison. I'd also, yes, thanks to them. And a very, very special shout out goes to our treasurer. Treasurer is a big job for a congregation. Don Melson gave us an extra year, so we thank him for that. So after 4 years as a treasurer, Don Melson, thank you, Don. We also have a few folks who are rotating off after 3-year rotations on board committees. Janet Foley for stewardship and Bob Watts for nominating. And we have a couple folks who are rotating off after 3 years as chair of parish council committees. Actually, we only have one person who's rotating off, Kirk Olson. Everyone else seems to be signing up for more, including Charlene Curtin, who just got pressured into serving for a 4th year as our CAT committee chair. So thanks to those who have served and to all those who will continue to serve very much. Yes, I'd like to thank our staff team, which is a remarkable team. You may have no idea how big the staff team is because there are so many little part-time positions, many of whom that just work only on Sundays or at certain times in between. Our newest staff members who joined us this year are Molly Kerrigan, hooray for Molly, Brittany Moran, and Evan Gasper. And we are also bid adieu to Jack Leone Hamill, who was one of our wonderful tech volunteers up in the balcony. So thanks to all of them. And for our continuing staff, and I'll just read their names so you remember. Stephanie Nolan, our church administrator. Suzanne Hinson-Rieger, our director of family religious education. Molly Kerrigan, as I mentioned. Rebecca Driscoll, our engagement coordinator and newly operations manager. Brittany Moran, our membership communications coordinator. John Middleton Cox, who is our music director, and it must be noted, has just completed his 19th year serving North Parish. So I don't know who the music and the party planners are, but it's time to get busy for next year. Christina Kennedy, our assistant music director. Sarah Spalding, our nursery coordinator. Claudia Brooks, our other adult in the nursery. Gabe Cordio, Emmy Moon, Tristan Rand, our youth RE facilitators. Alexis Schlesinger, our Sunday photographer. Evan Gasper, Raphael Unterkloffer, our tech team members, along with our 7-year volunteer tech lead, Steve Vale, up in the balcony still. Thank you. And our sexton, Manuel Tejeda, and Kim Adame, who's our rental sexton. I would like to just say that there are so many more people who deserve a shout out. I hope we can all remember just to get in the habit of sharing our appreciation with one another. If you're not sure what someone's been doing in the congregation, just thank them anyway, because they've probably been doing something. These are trying times, and we need each other for both care and accountability. And I believe it is a gift to be part of an inclusive, free-thinking faith like ours, which is embodied in a loving, creative community like ours, and sustained by a stable, evolving institution like ours. North Parish is a life-saving, love-centering, truth-seeking congregation, and I'm grateful that love is still the path that we all choose together. Thank you for the privilege of serving as your minister in this, the 381st year of the congregation, and my 27th as your minister.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Lee. I would like now to invite Marcia Cordio to make some remarks on behalf of the board.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marcia Cordio, and I was one of the co-chairs of the board this year. Lower this. Is this better? Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Marcia Cordio, and I was one of the co-chairs of the board this year, along with Mary Kilpatrick. On behalf of the board, I'd like to take a minute to highlight a few items from our annual report and thank everyone involved. This has been a full and meaningful year for North Parish, and we have a lot of people to thank for all the accomplishments this year. One major highlight is, obviously, the Green Envelope Project. You can see outside. After a lot of planning, construction is now underway on our meeting house. It's a big step forward, made possible by friends of the meeting house, donors, grants, and many, many dedicated volunteers. This year, the congregation has also done many things to strengthen the connection among our members. There have been events like circle suppers, second Sunday lunches, and also the Urgency of Now workshop, which really helped bring people together and sparked new work like the Mutual Aid Fund. Thank you very much to everyone who participated in these great events. North Parish also continues to serve the wider community by offering space for organizations like the People's Food Pantry, recovery groups, youth groups, concerts, and other community programs. That spirit of welcome and service is central to who we are, and I want to thank everyone involved with those programs as well. And I want to extend a big, big thank you to Reverend Lee Blumel. Where are you? Oh, there you are. And all of our wonderful staff that she named. Thank you to the board, all of our committee leaders, volunteers, and everyone who keeps this congregation running week after week. As we look ahead, the board is planning to stay focused on the Meeting House project and the next steps for that, long-term financial planning, accessibility, and continuing to welcome new members and families into this community. Thank you so much to everyone for all you do to make North Parish such a strong and loving place. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Is there any other discussion on Article 1? Hearing none, we are prepared to vote on Article 1 as written in the warrant. All those in favor of Article 1, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 1 passes unanimously. Article 2, Election of Officers. As printed in the warrant, it states as follows: to accept the following slate of new trustees and officers for the 2026-2027 year. Trustee TBD, first 3-year term. Trustee TBD, 3-year term. Trustee Kat Valario, 3-year term. Treasurer Chaz Bicking, 1-year term. Clerk Kathy Slade, 1-year term. Collector Klaus Unterkoffler, 1-year term. Moderator Adam Hamill, 1-year term. Do I hear a motion on Article 2?
I move to accept the slate of new trustees and officers as written in the warrant.
Do I hear a second? Article 1 is moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Please come forward, Bob.
I'm Bob Watts, and along with Jeff Nason and Tad Bickford, I'm on the nominating committee. I move to amend the slate of candidates for trustees to include Ken Rohr.
Thank you, Bob. Is there a second to the motion to amend the slate to add Ken Rohr to one of the open trustee positions? Okay, the motion to amend has been seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so the warrant the article has been amended. Is there any further discussion on the amended article? Hearing none, we'll take a vote now. So all those in favor of the slate of, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that was the question. Is there any discussion on the main motion? You can come forward, please.
That went on. My question is, once the nominating committee finds another person, will we need to have another meeting of the congregation to vote that person in?
Thank you for asking that question. I meant to mention that as well. So pursuant to Section 15 of the bylaws, the Board of Trustees is empowered to fill any vacancy in any elected office for the period lasting until the next annual meeting. So what that means is that if in between now and the next annual meeting, the Board of Trustees or nominating committee is able to identify a candidate to fill that other remaining position in the Board of Trustees, the board is empowered by the bylaws to fill that position up until the next annual meeting. Any other discussion on the main motion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of Article 2 as amended, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 2 passes unanimously. Congratulations to all of the newly elected officers and trustees. Article 3 of the warrant states as follows: to accept the following slate of endowment committee member to serve a second term, Barbara Wrightson. Do I hear a motion on Article 3?
Yeah, I move to accept Article 3 as stated in the warrant.
Thank you very much. Do I hear a second? Article 3 has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on Article 3? Hearing none, we're ready to vote. All those in favor of Article 3 as printed in the warrant, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. By unanimous vote, Barbara Wrightson is elected to the Endowment Committee for a second term. Congratulations, Barbara. Article 4 is the budget. As printed in the warrant, it says to review and accept the annual budget as proposed by the Board of Trustees for the 2026-2027 fiscal year. Do I hear a motion on Article 4?
I move to accept the budget as written in the warrant.
Okay, the article, it's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Article 4 has been moved in second to accept the budget. At this time, I'd like to invite the treasurer to come forward to say a few words about the budget before we open up to general discussion.
Good morning. Before I begin, I want to thank our Assistant Treasurer, Darnell Canada, who unfortunately is unable to be here today, for his strong efforts again in coordinating the budget process this year. I also want to acknowledge all of you who were involved in providing input to the budget process this year. There are many congregants who participate in the process that takes months to assemble and review. Thank you. As we approach the end of fiscal 2026, we can celebrate another year of success in meeting our budgetary goals. We entered the year with lofty objectives for a significant increase in our pledge donations, as well as strong performances in our other fundraising objectives, such as the Red Bow Fair. These were needed to achieve a budget intended to fund our goals of competitive compensation for our valued staff, meet our social responsibilities, maintain our aging infrastructure. With a month and a half remaining, I can say, barring the unforeseen, I expect a successful result versus budget targets. That said, we continue to face financial headwinds. Certain operating expenses, such as utilities and medical insurance, continue to face inflationary pressures. Current industry estimates for increases in utilities in fiscal 2027 are 17.5%. And in January, we were notified that medical insurance would increase 19%. We have also begun a program to extend and grow the engagement initiatives started in 2024, as well as fund the religious education team to enable sufficient to enable sufficient staffing as a result of fewer volunteers. Taking these factors into consideration, the stewardship team set an aggressive goal of $640,000. That's a 9.4% increase versus the 2026 budget, and pledged commitments from the congregation. Unfortunately, as of when the budget went to press, our pledge contributions were $591,000. I'm happy to say today that last night I got an email from Janet indicating that the pledge donations have now increased up to $607,000. Fortunately, a member of the congregation has offered a one-time non-pledge contribution that will partially offset the shortfall in our hoped-for pledges. Presently, pledge and non-pledge donation contributions represent more than 80% of operating expenses. To fill the gap, we need strong performances in other revenue sources. New in 2026 and related to consolidation of the Andover Parish with North Parish, was approximately $6,000 in annual distributions, primarily from Andover's former investments in the UU Common Endowment Fund. These distributions are very much appreciated by North Parish and will help to continue funding programs for social justice, youth, and other programs. In addition, the Red Bow Fair and other fundraising activities such as Crossroads, yard sales, dances, and art shows have and are expected to positively contribute to revenues. Facility rentals have also been a strong performer, and we expect this to continue in the upcoming year. In summary, total revenues are expected to be $708,000, an increase of $43,000, 6.4%, over the $665,000 budgeted for fiscal 2026. On the expense side, total expenses are budgeted to be $781,000, an increase of $66,000, 9.3%, over fiscal 2026's $715 budgeted spending. The largest driver of expense increases is compensation, including benefit expense, which is expected to increase $45,000, that's 9% over last year's budget. The increase is a combination of cost of living and salary adjustments, that's $15,000, increased benefits costs, $14,000, religious education / child care assistance, $7,000, engagement initiatives support, $5,000, and increased hours for certain part-time employees, $4,000. Other significant expense increases include utilities, that's $9,500 or 23%, affiliations, $2,900 or 10%, and admin, $2,900 or 6%. As previously mentioned, utility rates are projected to increase 17.5% next year. Further, we overran the budget by 5% due primarily to weather conditions. Affiliations relate to the UUA dues that we pay each year. UUA uses a calculation based on prior year parish metrics to determine each church's contribution. Admin expenses are increasing primarily due to credit card fees on realm transactions. We are investigating possible ways to reduce this cost. The result is a projected budget with a net operating loss of $74,000. That could require a 4.9% draw on the 3-year rolling average balance of the investment portfolio as compared with our guideline of 4%. If you take into consideration the additional most recent pledge result, which is $607,000, that draw would be 4.5%. However, based on our current investment portfolio, which has benefited from $241,000 in transfers from Andover Parish, as well as strong financial markets, the net operating loss is 4.1% of the investment portfolio. And if you include the new, most recent pledge results, that draw would be 3.7%. In closing, the board and the finance committee strongly support this budget and recommend congregational approval.
Thank you, Don. Our general practice at North Parish, as in many town meetings in Massachusetts, is to read through the budget section by section to see if there are any questions, but then vote on the budget as a whole. So I will begin by reading each section of the budget. If you have a question about the section of the budget, simply call out question, and I will note which of the sections are in question and then continue reading. Once we have read through the entire budget and determine on which sections there are questions, we will address each question in sequence. However, I think there's a question here. I can recognize Fred.
Could you articulate why in the budget there's blue print as opposed to black print and negative print?
I don't know if that's a question maybe that the treasurer can answer. There's a question about. So I'll repeat the question that Fred had asked, why in the budget that's been distributed, why there's different color printing in terms of blue and red printing in the budget.
Fred asked me this before we started, and I went back and looked at it, and I concluded it's Darnell's coding when he did the spreadsheet, and he has a fairly sophisticated model. The blue items represent items that he got input from other members. The black items are items that came from a supporting spreadsheet, such as the payroll spreadsheet, that comes through the personnel committee. So it's sort of, what's coming in from outside committees and what's done internally.
Thank you, John. All right, so I'll continue with the reading of the sections of the budget. And again, as I said, if you have a question about a section, please note that you have a question by shouting out question. I will make a note of that, and then we will go through them, any questions in sequence. So the first item is total revenue, $707,525. Item 5,000, payroll, $423,727. Item 5030, payroll benefits, $87,835. Item 5040, professional expenses, $10,566. Item 5100, congregational program committees, $19,028. Item 5200, community outreach social action, $14,105. Affiliations, item 5300, affiliations, $32,915. Item 5400, administration, $49,360. Item 5500, house and grounds, $48,482. Item 5600, utilities, $49,564. And lastly, item 5800, fund transfers, $23,200. There were no questions on any of the items. Any discussion on the budget in general? Hearing none, we're ready to move forward to a vote on Article 5. All those in favor of the budget as presented by the Treasurer and the Board of Trustees, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The matter passes unanimously. Moving to, that was Article 4, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Article 5 is, as printed in the warrant, is to ratify a vote of the Board of Trustees to authorize emergency repairs to the air source heat pump up to a total cost of $25,744.66 to be taken from the plant fund. Do I hear a motion on Article 5?
I move to ratify Article 5 as printed in your warrant.
Do I hear a second? Okay, Article 5 has been moved and seconded as a note for the congregation. This vote is necessary pursuant to Section 13 of the Congregational Bylaws, which states that no contract or employment involving an expenditure of more than 1% of the annual operating budget for any purpose or for any group of undertakings involved in one general enterprise shall be valid unless previously authorized or subsequently ratified by the parish. Is there any discussion on Article 5? Hearing none, all in favor of Article 5, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. The motion carries unanimously. Article 6, as printed in the warrant, is to act upon any other business that may properly come before the meeting. Is there any other business? Keith, you want to come forward?
Hi, I'm Keith Wenzel. I just had a question for the board. Has there been any discussion about allowing Zoom participants to participate in the annual meeting and voting? I guess there hasn't been. I think this is something we should try to work on as we go forward in this coming year, because I don't know why we should not allow people that are on Zoom who are members of the congregation, especially ones who have a hard time getting into the church, to not vote. I just hope that's something that we'll start to consider. Thank you.
Can I make a comment on that? There are 4 people on the Zoom call right now.
Yeah, if someone from the board would like to speak to that, I'd welcome you to answer the question.
Thank you, Keith. We did discuss Zoom participation and Zoom voting last year, and it was decided that we would have people view, observe only, and not vote. But it's definitely something that can be reconsidered and rediscussed. But it was discussed, and that was the decision made. But it can be rediscussed if the board wants to take that on this year.
Now, so is this on the same question, or? Okay, so you can come forward.
So it's actually part of the bylaws that we are able to vote by Zoom during certain circumstances, like when we're shut down for COVID, and that the board decides each meeting whether or not the voting would be online. There's a lot of logistical factors when it comes to online voting. So it is in there, it's in the bylaws, and it is discussed each meeting.
You can come forward, yes.
I'm not sure if this fits, but I'm wondering about the credit card fees. Are those fees that we are using because of administration expenses or fees from donations, from our pledges? Because it's $6,000 a year that's projected. It's a lot of money.
I'll let Don answer that question.
Yeah. I don't have the data on this year exactly,
Okay.
but it was somewhere in the range of $5,000. The fees are when you use a credit card to pay your realm.
Yes. Okay.
And
Yep.
I'm not sure whether it realms, I haven't had time to investigate this specifically, but that transaction results in a 3% surcharge or something like that.
Yeah.
And with a lot of money going through realm,
Yeah.
that's what happens. Now, you know, we've talked about maybe having some sort of ACH or some bank transaction where you could avoid the fee. This came up during the budget process. We don't have an answer for it right now, but we need to do something about it. Right now, it's a placeholder for expected increases in pledge donations.
I suspect that a lot of people are not aware of that charge and how it contributes to our expenses. I have mine just directly removed from my bank account. So if we could bring that to the attention to the general congregation, and ask them to just have withdrawn from their bank account. Yeah, we won't get travel miles, but it'd be worth it.
I understand. I really, until it popped out, I didn't know it until basically April.
Yeah.
That's when it really started bouncing up. And, but it is certainly an area to focus on, and we discussed it at our last finance committee meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Any other additional business under Article 6? Okay. Hearing none, then it is in order to have a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. And any second on that? All those in favor? Any opposed? I think it's a privileged motion. Is there any discussion on adjournment? All right, hearing none. I think that we're unanimous in terms of adjourning. The meeting is closed. Thank you so much.